Right now is the perfect time to buy the Nintendo Switch OLED edition, and I want to give you a list of arguments that I used to convince myself that this stupid purchase decision made total sense. So, we want to unbox this thing, probably one of the last unboxings of this console on YouTube, now that the Switch 2 has been out for the past month and a half. This has now been on sale at a local game store here for 280 euros. Usually it's 350 for the OLED. So a pretty good deal on that one, if you ask me. Right now they're also doing a cooperation with Payback, which is our German cashback system. So that and the store points that I get for this, it was another 25-30 euros off. So in the end, I paid like 240, 250 for this, which I think is a pretty all right price. Getting 100 euros off, not bad, not bad. Now, I want to be perfectly honest with you. The main reason I got this was because I wanted it. All the other points that I'm going to tell you are just things that I have used to justify this purchase. There's no real reason for me to buy this. All the good arguments I found were just me lying in bed, trying to convince myself, should I get this or not? In the end, I did. Here we go. Number one, we can already see it. White controller, white dock. And I'm a big fan of white consoles. My 3DS, I waited for the white model, 3DS XL and a new 3DS. I got the white models. I love white consoles. I was very annoyed that there's no white version of this. And with the OLED version, they finally released one. So I'm getting rid of the gray Joy-Cons. Let me open this up. There's a little flap here in the bottom. We're going to unbox this system, see what's inside. And while we are doing this, I want to give you all of the points that I've come up with. Oh, the white Joy-Cons. My ex-wife had these. So I already know what they look like, what they feel like. I know they're beautiful, and I always argued with myself that buying a whole new console just for the Joy-Cons is not worth it. Now that the Switch 2 is out, the Switch 1 controllers will die out over time. I have a launch model Nintendo Switch, and those were the only Joy-Cons that I own. So I said, before the Switch 1 goes the way of the dodo, I definitely need to pick up another pair of Joy-Cons because we all know the problems that these consoles have. And now I have a fresh pair, the color that I want. This is amazing. I love these. Yes, one of the things is, should I buy a pair of Joy-Cons for 80, or should I just get a Switch model that I don't have yet with a better screen and get the color that I really like? So that's one of the other arguments that I made for myself. Switch Joy-Cons in the color that I enjoy. And especially new ones, having a fresh pair. Mine have been in use for 8 years now, 2017. They still have the texture on top, they're not rubbed until they're all shiny at the top. Really like these. Amazing. I'm not a big fan of the Joy-Cons, and they definitely improved on them with the Nintendo Switch 2, but having the white ones, that's a whole different thing. Here's the Switch OLED. Oh yeah. Let's turn this on. Here we go. It's a lot more textured here in the back. It apparently picks up fingerprints like crazy. The OLED screen, that's a nice one. Let's see. Okay, let's attach the controllers. Always a fun thing to do. There we go. Oh, that's a firm click. Mine have been so noodled out over the years of use. Oh yeah, man, that feels a lot nicer than my 8-year-old Switch. Here we go, that is the Switch experience on an OLED screen. It's so much bigger. It's one of my main reasons that I decided on getting this too. Yes, let's set this up later. I'll do this later. Let's continue with the unboxing, searching for an internet connection. We'll do this later. Let's put this aside. Now, yes, internet connection. This is another main point why I wanted to get this console. This is my launch day, Switch 1. There's the launch day, like with the exploit. They put a little plastic thingy in there and you can soft mod it. And that's what I did. After the release of Nintendo Switch 2, I got this old one that I had and I soft modded it. Now, of course, with soft mods, you don't want to connect to the internet all that much anymore. So this will be a purely offline console. And I told myself, I cannot have... This is a toy now. This is for tinkering. This is for playing around with ripping games, copying them to the SD card, backing my games up, all of that. However, I don't want to connect this to the internet anymore because of obvious reasons with soft modding. So I wanted a Nintendo Switch 1 console that I could still connect to the internet. There are ways around it that, make this no problem. I could connect this to the internet. The point is I don't want to connect it to the internet anymore. So I wanted a system that has been not tinkered with, no soft mod, and I can set up an internet connection, play my games normally, and have a Switch 1 console that has all the functionality, and then my old one is just for tinkering and for having fun with. That was actually one of the best reasons I came up with, because I soft modded this and I want to play around with it and just have a standard stock one right there. Let's see what else we have in here. We have different manuals. I don't think we have to get these out. The dock has been one of the big improvements. I never really thought the dock needed big improvements with the original Switch because I don't connect my Switch to an Ethernet cable. This was one of the big advantages that this one had. Like in the back here is an Ethernet port right in there. Usually on the old dock you had to use an adapter, USB adapter to do this. Very annoying, this just comes off. There's no longer a hinge. Same thing with the Nintendo Switch 2 dock. I'm not a fan of that, but in the end, you don't take them out too often. This hole is a lot nicer than, having to fit it all into a small opening on the original dock. I really like this, and I like that it's white. I love the white consoles. I love white handhelds, white consoles. I should love the PlayStation 5. I haven't bought one yet. It's just too big and too expensive, is someone who said, who just paid good money for a system that he already has. Don't try to make sense out of it. So the dock, very nice. This will probably not be connected to the TV ever because I have my Nintendo Switch 2 and that will be my docked console. And I got this more for tabletop and handheld play. Something I would actually prefer the Nintendo Switch Lite for, which I already have. The Lite is my favorite model of the Switch so far, but something for tabletop mode, that I put on the table. I've been really enjoying this with the Switch 2 so far, with the bigger screen, and the upgrade to the bigger OLED one makes all the difference for that one. This one is basically impossible to play in tabletop mode because, first of all, like the stand, forget about that. What the hell is this? On the Switch OLED, apparently it's a very nice stand. Even better, is it a plastic? I think it's a plastic stand, yes. But so much more flexible and the whole thing here. So I can comfortably put this on the table and play like this. Whereas the Switch Lite, it's too small and you can't detach the Joy-Cons from that one. So this one will be used for handheld play, primarily. I don't think I will use this dock ever. Maybe just as a display piece to put the console in, but this will have no use to me. At least I don't think so. Switch 2 is for the TV play. Now we have the USB cable, always a good one. This does not support 4K 60, so don't use these old ones for the Switch 2. Only use the Switch 2 one. We have a charging cable. That's always a good one to have. We have, these are the little rails. Pointless for me now. And this is the old grip, which is a lot better than the Switch 2 grip. I forgot to mention that one in my Switch 2 video a few weeks ago. But on this one, the grips are actually rounded. On the Switch 2, because they are magnetic, like they're flat. So They don't feel nearly as nice in the hand. Here we go. These Joy-Cons are just too small, in my opinion. Like, as a controller, no, this is not how I want to play my games. I have either for handheld, I think for handheld they're quite nice. But for at-home play, I have the Pro controller. So I won't be needing this too much. I already have one. So, but they're still nicer than the Nintendo Switch 2 ones. Okay, let's go to the next point. Right, OLED screen, we already had that. Kickstand, very nice. The battery of this is supposedly so much better than the Nintendo Switch 1. And also much better than the Nintendo Switch 2. Here, let's put the family together. The small little tiny screen, the like middle OLED screen, and then the gigantic Switch 2 one right here. I think the dimensions of the OLED are the same, or at least very close to identical to the original Switch. I mean, look at this. Like, you see the ugly border around it? Ugh. Like, I don't like that. I always thought the Switch 1 screen, like, that's why it was a dock-only console for me. Like, I don't want to look at that. I would much rather play on the Lite. But the battery is supposedly a lot better, and it is a little bit more powerful, thanks to the more powerful chip in there, than the original Switch 1. So it is a little bit of an upgrade. However, on the TV, I'm just going to play all my games on the Nintendo Switch 2 from now on. The performance boost is just so much better. As I said, this one is mainly for handheld play. And this is my tinkering, modding console. So kickstand is better, battery is better. My old Switch is modded, so that one is no longer connected to the internet. This one is. So that's amazing. I already said I got on a sale, I got a good discount. So when I got the Nintendo Switch 2, I thought, okay, like this is modded, I need to upgrade one. I waited for a good sale. I knew I was going to buy it at one point, and now I just saw it at the store for a good price. So pick that one up. Also, Nintendo Switch 2 just is not the replacement to the Nintendo Switch 1 that I was really hoping for. For the TV play, like it just improved in every way. However, this is not a portable handheld console. This is terrible as a portable console. So having one that's slightly smaller, not as small and nice as the Lite, but that's still more pocketable. Like for normal trips on the train to and from work, I'm not going to take this. I'm going to take my Switch Lite. However, for longer travels, longer journeys where I will play in tabletop mode a little bit, I think this one will be the go-to one. Here we are. That's my unboxing. It's a short and sweet one. That's my unboxing of the Switch OLED and the reasons how I convinced myself that this would be a good idea. Let's quickly set this up, and then we are going to do a little outro with a little bit of, actual picture on this one. All right, here we go. My console's set up. The internet is connected. I haven't linked my Nintendo account to it or anything. Let's open this up. Oh, this was so improved on the Nintendo Switch 2. This is terrible. Like bending this thing back, not a fan. Let's put in a random game, Sea of Stars. I just had lying around on the shelf at the moment. Let's start this one. Let's take a look at this screen. The placeholder account with the Yoshi I have there. I can already tell, like, the quality control on Nintendo has just gotten so bad. Like, there's, like, you can feel the edges between the two plastic layers just holding these together. I have the feeling that the old Joy-Cons from the launch day had a much better feel to them. Like, this feels cheap and low quality. Nintendo, what the hell are you doing? You see, like, the colors are popping. Now, this is not a big day and night difference because I usually play my games on an OLED TV. So this is not going to be game-changing for me. However, looking at this portably, it's already such a step up from the Nintendo Switch 2 screen. This screen, sadly, it's a very big disappointment. Which is not a problem for me because I don't play my games on that handheld screen too much. This is not a handheld console. I told you it's too big for my taste. So this will be in the dock anyway. And now having a nicer quality portable system, I always thought the original Switch was too big for portability. I was not a fan of it. However, after holding the Nintendo Switch 2 for quite some time now, over the last month and a half, this feels tiny. This feels nice and portable now. Like how perspectives can change just by giving me something objectively worse with the Nintendo Switch 2 when it comes to portability. I think this is nice and small and comfortable. I think because of the dimensions, they are basically the same. It's going to be just compatible with my normal Nintendo Switch carrying case, so that shouldn't be a problem. I can already tell you, trying to remove these, when you set the console up, you have to detach the controllers and so on, like pushing these, it's just, man, like the, the magnetic stuff in the Nintendo Switch 2 is just tons nicer, so much nicer. It's a much more high quality and better built system overall. Like, detaching these, not a fun thing to do. And I will tend to avoid that. Like these will just be, there's a bit of waggle, but not as much as after years of use and attaching and detaching of this. So I will try to keep this in a handheld portable format for as much as possible without attaching and detaching the controllers. Anyway, do you have a Nintendo Switch OLED? Do you plan on getting one before they're all out of stock everywhere? Tell me in the comments, is this a thing for you? Do you understand my reasoning? Do you understand why I decided that I'm going to convince myself to buy this? Maybe you do, maybe you do not. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.